fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Heather D. Tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
And welcome everyone to another Fish Report Live. Thanks for joining us. My name's Craig Fissinger, and that is Ken Francis. Back in our sound room tonight, it's two guys we like to call TK and Heavy D. We'll be talking to them a little bit later in the show. And out in Studio R, Covey and Kern's back again for another week. Excited to hear what they have to say. Ken, another fun night tonight and a milestone episode for FRL.
Absolutely, Craig. Big night tonight. Show number 200, Craig. Who would have thought? 200 shows. Congratulations, you've done awesome, and what a great team we got, and really looking to talk a little more about that later on. But talk about our interview tonight, we've got Diana Kramer, head coach of the #1 Division IV volleyball team in the state of Ohio. They're MAC co-champions. They're the New Bremen Cardinals. They've been ranked high all year. And along with her tonight, Craig, we're going to have probably hands down the best volleyball player in the state of Ohio, regardless of division, and that's her senior player, Paige Jones. Phenomenal volleyball player. Really looking forward to talking to Paige Jones and Coach Kramer on our show tonight, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we actually had Paige on the show back during her sophomore year, so it's been a couple years. Looking forward to catching up with her. Can't wait to get to that. But before we do, just like we do here every week on the show, have our poll question. What do you have for our viewers tonight?
Well, it's a good one tonight, Craig. And when you look at that Van Wert District volleyball sectional district, it's absolutely loaded. Which of these four teams will make it out? Will it be New Bremen, St. Henry, Fort Recovery, or Marion Local? All state ranked. Just, a lot of MAC teams up there in that Van Wert District. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's that's assuming one of those MAC teams get out of there, which I think that's a safe bet, and I expect any one of those four teams to be there in the end. So it's going to be interesting to watch. If you're watching us right now on the Fish Report Live page on your computers or your phones, you can scroll down the page, help us answer tonight's poll question, and check the results. If you're watching us on NK Telco Cable TV, TK is going to have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, well, let's get things started. And last week we talked some cross-country. We talked some conference, some league battles that were going on last Saturday. Of course, this week it's district week, and they're running down there at the Elvin R. King cross-country course on the campus of Cedarville University. And I know you were at the SCAL meet last Saturday. Based on what you saw, based on what you know, who are you looking forward to doing well this Saturday down at Cedarville?
Well, Craig, individually, I'm looking for the two Fort Loramie runners to be right up there in the front. Jake Reithman and Joe Ballas. They've been running 1-2 in so many meets this year. There's a couple other good runners, though. Tanner Delt from Arcanum, he's going to be right up there, as well as Cole Good, and he is good from Franklin Monroe. So he'll be right up there as well. So some tough competition individually for the Redskins, but overall, when you look at the overall picture and you look at the team standings, Craig, nobody's going to beat the Fort Loramie Redskins in this district race. Individually, I should say the top 36 individuals qualify for the regional. And in the team competition, there's the top 9 teams qualify. Fort Loramie is going to finish first. Houston's going to finish second. I can tell you that right now. After that, it's kind of a scramble, Craig, but some of the local teams that I think will be battling for that top 9 position would be Botkins and West Liberty Salem. I think they're both borderline right there. Franklin Monroe's right there with them as well, and so is Troy Christian. So I think those 4 teams right there are probably going to battle it out for the last couple slots to run at that Troy Regional. But Fort Loramie and Houston, they're finishing first and second.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And, of course, Jake Raithman and Joe Ballas favorites to win that race. Tanner Delk is a very good runner for Arcanum. I think he's going to be right there, too. Jake won the SCAL meet last Saturday. I know you saw that. Actually, his 5th straight year of winning the SCAL if you go all the way back to his junior high years. So congratulations on that. And I'll talk about the girls here a little bit. 4 big conferences that go to this district meet, Ken. You got the Shelby County Athletic League. You got the Ohio Heritage Conference. You got the Cross County Conference and the Metro Buckeye Conference. And then you've also got Versailles coming over from the MAC. They'll be there as well. But, the winners of those conference meets last year, of course, in my opinion, are some of the favorites. And on the top of that list is the West Liberty Salem Tigers over there. They won the OHC last week. They probably have the best trio of runners right now in Southwest Ohio. When you look at Caitlin Stapleton, their freshman, you look at their sophomore Grace Adams, and then their senior over there, Reagan Bolesky. Very tough. Now, Laramie does have a good threesome themselves. They have a couple sophomores there, and Danielle Burning, who won the SCAL last week, and also Paige Raithman. And then they got a couple freshmen there. You got Corinne Highcamp and Caitlin Gass, and that can be solid number 3 runners for them, but they're very good as well. I think West Liberty's got a little bit of the edge. I think that's why West Liberty wins this race. I think that's why Fort Laramie finishes second. And then your 3rd through 6th spots, you got, Covington Buccaneers that won the CCC last week. They're very good. The Russia Raiders, who came in second at the SCAL, are tough. And you've got some other teams in there too, like National Trail and also Versailles. And Versailles is a little interesting because very good team. One of my early picks this season to be one of the top teams in the Southwest. But they're also going through some injuries right now, and I'm not sure where they stand. We'll find out more on Saturday. Every team right now battling a little bit of health problems, but Versailles especially. So it's be interesting to see how they do on Saturday. Individually, I think there's 3 runners that can win this race, and it all starts with the girl that won it last year, and that is junior Carmen Knepp over there at Bradford, a very good runner, having a very good season. She's my pick to win it all. But then you've got the Stapleton girl I mentioned, the freshman over there at West Liberty, very, very good. She's a competitor. I can see her going for the win on Saturday. And then Addie Engel, the girl that won last year, the regional meet down there. She's from Catholic Central in Springfield, a very good runner as well. So I see those 3 runners duking it out for that number 1 spot. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to get to Saturday. Now, you mentioned the 9 boys teams go. It's only 8 girls teams, a little bit different there, and the top 32 individuals. So it's going to be a fun Saturday, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Weather's supposed to be gorgeous, Craig. Kind of a newer venue, and so that'll make it interesting as well over there at Cedarville. But so I think the Shelby County League teams are going to do very well. Like you said, Coach Vogel's got a great team over there, girls team in the West Liberty Tigers. West Liberty Salem. So I look for them to win it, just like you said. I look for Fort Laramie to win the boys' side.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And let's change gears now a little bit. And Ken, let's talk a little football. And for that, we're going to go out to Studio R, talk to Covey and Kearns out there. And guys, I've been talking a lot about the Anna Rockets. We've been talking a lot about the Anna Rockets the last several weeks. It seems like they have big game week after week. And of course, you get that when you play in the MAC. This week is no exception. They travel to Coldwater. Both teams 5-1 right now, second in the MAC. Give me your opinions here. Who wins this big MAC game?
Yeah, well, definitely. Anna came back with Travis Meyer at quarterback last week. Came back, surprised me, and beat a solid St. Henry team, staying at near the top of the standings in Division 5 for the playoffs. And Coldwater dipping a bit, even though they're tied with Anna right now at the MAC, still at 5-2, still a good team, still in contention to go to state. But I'm going to have to take the Rockets here on the road. I just like the style of play they have, and I think they will win this game 21-14, just with their athleticism and skill players. I just think they have it, and I think this is their year in Division 5.
I absolutely agree with you. The team that Anna has, being 5-1 in the MAC conference, is probably the toughest conference overall in the state of Ohio. And with coming back with Travis Meyer, he's huge for that team. Throwing, it takes a lot of weight off Aiden Ensley, their running back, and they got a lot of skill positions, like you've been saying the past couple weeks about them. And they're just a great team to watch. And with it coming off of a road win against St. Henry, that's a huge win for them, keeping them tied with Coldwater for second place in the MAC. And going to Coldwater, I agree with Covey. Anna's going to come out on top 21-14.
That's an interesting pick, guys. I actually was talking to someone in the media last week, and I asked them what they thought of the Anna Rockets, and they told me Travis Meyer's a sitting duck back there. And I said, what do you mean? They said he's a good quarterback, and they need him to win. But but he thought it was a matter of time before he re-aggravates that ACL of his. Although I did see an article from Bryant Billing from the Sydney Daily News talked in depth about that ACL, and it sounds like once Travis gets warmed up, he's good to go. Things are fine.
Key player there for the Rockets, and Covey and Kearns. I know they're both on the Rockets. I think it's going to be a great game. And those two, you can't argue with Covey and Kearns. They've been pretty much right on all year, and so the Rockets going into Coldwater, traditionally rich Coldwater Stadium. The Cavaliers are typically extremely tough to beat over there and extremely tough to beat anywhere. So it'll be a huge win for the Rocket program if they can go in and get a W.
Tough game, that's for sure. And guys, one more football question. I think Ken had a question about the NWCC and our guest last week that we talked to, Cam Lee over there at Lehman.
That's right. Last week we talked to Cam Lee on our show, and they were having their matchup with Upper Scioto, and it turned out to be a yawner. Lehman winning 55-0. They got Lima Perry. Both teams coming into the NWCC on a 5-0 record. Who do you guys like in that one?
Oh, I like Lehman. I think this one's going to be a yawner too, Ken. I just think Lehman has a solid team all around. I don't think anyone in their conference is really playoff worthy as Lehman is. So we'll see. I know they've been really making their non-conference schedule heavy with MAC teams like Fort Recovery and Minster in the past to get them ready for the playoffs. And I think their conference is just very weak, and I think they're really going to expose the Commodores of Perry here. And I think they'll win this matchup 35-7.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kobe. Lehman's got players like L.A. Gilardi at quarterback, Owen Smith at running back, and Cameron Lee, who's an experienced senior leader for that team at the wide receiver. He's about 6'5". He's a big guy. I've seen him a lot around Russia. He's well known around here. And any jump ball, you give it to him. I got big chances for him going up and get it. And Owen Smith, he's a great running back. I've seen him in the paper a lot, and I'll take Lehman over Perry too.
Well, I have to agree with both of you guys on this one as well. And I think one of the big reasons Perry is 5-0 is because, like you said, Covey, I think the league is extremely weak, and when they play somebody's got to win. And that's why when you look at the overall standings in that league, you see teams with very good records sometimes. But, the Cavaliers are just blowing everybody out in that conference, and Friday night's not going to be any different.
Well, they're going to be a playoff team, that's for sure. And when they do, we'll see how they stack up against some of the other playoff teams and see how legit that record is. But I think they're playing very well this year, and they're doing what they need to do. They're in the NWCC. They're winning the games they need to win, and that's what you need to do to get the playoffs.
That's right. I agree. The Cavaliers are definitely the team in that conference. And, it's easy to accumulate points by winning games in that league because when two teams are facing each other, somebody has to win. So you're getting big secondary points every week from them other teams.
All right, and with that, we're going to take a short break, but stay right there because when we come back, we're going to talk some volleyball, including that big interview with the MAC Player of the Year and the Co-Coach of the Year. Stay tuned for that.
My father said it's time to be home man, but don't go and town in the motherland. You were born with heart, raised on pride. This is gonna go wrong through your bloodline.
And welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live, a big celebration tonight. It's our 200th episode. We're awful happy about that. And last week, the crew was saying, hey, Craig, the 200 show's coming up. We need somebody big. We need somebody special on the show. So I called none other than New Bremen Athletic Director Gary Jones and said, listen, Gary, I know we've got tournament coming up, but what's the chances of getting Paige Jones, one of the most special, best players I can think of in this area? Gary said, Craig, I'll do you one better. I'll actually get Paige on the show, and we'll get her coach, Diana Kramer, as well. And kind of acted like you knew something maybe that I didn't know. And then on Tuesday night, it was announced that Paige, of course, was the MAC Player of the Year. Coach Kramer was the co-coach of the year. We're happy to have them both live on the phone right now. Paige and Coach Kramer, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, guys. Hi.
Hi. Well,
Hello
listen,
there.
Congrats on the success of this season so far. You've done awfully well. And, Coach, I'd like to start with you. I know, you hear it a lot that folks say records don't matter anymore when you get to tournament. But I certainly feel that records do matter because it's what helped you prepare for tournaments. So what's the biggest thing that you've accomplished during the regular season to get you ready for what's coming up starting on Thursday night?
I agree. I mean, records do matter, and at the same time, records don't matter. But everything that you've done in your past, whether it's on the court or in life, affects you currently. So I feel like winning the MAC championship was huge for us, especially with all the good teams in the MAC this year. And probably the biggest thing is after losing to Fort Recovery, which was in mid-September, we have only lost 2 sets to 25 since then, which has been a month of volleyball. And during that month, we played Coldwater and St. Henry and New Knoxville and Versailles, and the list goes on. So we continue to get better. And like I said, after that loss to Fort Recovery, it kind of set us up, and I reminded them that we could still control our own destiny in the MAC, and we found a way to win out the rest of the season. And like I said, we've only lost 2 sets to 25, and both those sets coming to Coldwater, who has has so much respect in the state, around the state, on the volleyball court. So I couldn't be prouder of how we're playing right now, and we just got to continue to push forward.
Yeah, that is an amazing stat, and when you consider you're doing it in the MAC, it's even more amazing. Mm-hmm. Coach, I want to ask you a question about your star sitting there, Paige. Last year she set a couple state records in the kill department. She actually had the most kills in a game with 53. I believe that was over Fort Laramie. And then she had the most kills in a season with 785. Coach, the last I looked, her season total right now is sitting at 460. So you got 460 versus 785 last year. Why have those numbers dropped so drastically?
So I mean, a lot of people look at the numbers, but the numbers there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that people don't really realize. Every time that I coach here, I'm playing the win. And last year, in order for us to win, Paige had to swing that many times because her teammates weren't necessarily ready to step up to the plate. This year, Paige will attest to this. Her teammates are really, really good. They don't always get all the glory and all the credit, but it's impossible to win a volleyball game by yourself. And anybody that watches us play this year can see the development of every single player that is playing on the court with Paige. And it's actually quite remarkable. We have 2 freshmen starting right now. A couple sophomores that contribute. The junior class is really big. And Paige's co-pilot, another senior that's on the court, last year she was out there to, fill a spot and not necessarily swing and, rack up any stats. But this year, everybody on our team is stepping up and making plays and contributing in the stats department, which takes some pressure off of Paige. But when Paige gets set, it opens up everything for everybody else, and we're truly a better team this year, which, again, as a coach, that's always what you want to see.
Hi, ladies. This is Ken. I'd like to ask Paige a couple of questions here. Paige, first of all, congratulations on what has been another outstanding season. MAC Player of the Year. Your team is doing fantastic, ranked number 1 in the state of Ohio. We had you back on our show a couple years ago, your sophomore season. How has Paige Jones changed her game, and what has made you a better player from that time until today?
I mean, obviously, I've put a lot more time into volleyball. I've had to give up stuff to be able to focus more on my volleyball career. But I know now that there's always room for improvement, so I know that I'm never going to be, I guess, good enough. There's always room for me to get better in some type of thing. And also just I've matured more, so I've been just making smarter decisions on the court.
Paige, another question for you. Let's talk a little bit about the excitement at New Bremen High School. You girls are ranked number 1 in the state. You're MAC co-champs. You girls are probably doing interviews with guys like us all the time. How does Coach keep you guys grounded and focused on the court?
Well, before every game, she always tells us that we cannot look past any opponent that we play, because on any day they could come out and obviously beat us. She tells us to stay hungry and humble throughout the process. We have to want to win every point, which we know that isn't possible, but just having that mindset is what we need. And then just to stay humble. We aren't an invincible team. We know that there are other really good teams out there, so we just have to be prepared and ready.
Coach, I want to go back to you for a question. You open tournament play on Thursday, and being the number 1 seed, you get an opening round home game. You're taking on a familiar opponent in Parkway, a team that finished 0-9 in MAC play, but in the first round they played Antwerp, which had an 18-4 record, and they came out victorious. Did this result surprise you, and what are you expecting from Parkway?
I mean, on paper and looking at the numbers, it shocks anybody and surprises anybody, but playing in the MAC, playing volleyball in this area, you know that you can't count anybody out. And I went up there and I scouted that game. And Parkway, even though they only won in 5, Parkway controlled that match from start to finish. Parkway was the better team. They were fundamentally sound. And we know that it's not going to be easy tomorrow night. So, like Paige said, the team needs to be hungry. They need to stay focused, and they need to play to win every single point.
Coach, we were talking about this before the show started, but, what are your thoughts on a super sectional up there like we have down here in this district? That Van Wert district, you have just 13 teams in that, and, you've got the 6 of those are state ranked. You got the number 1, 2, 3, and 5. Our Southwest district down here, we have 27 teams, twice as many as you do, and just 3 of them are ranked at 12, 14, and 16. I mean, how fair is this, in your opinion?
I mean, back 15 years ago when I played volleyball, all those teams were in the same sectional, which would have been 6 teams, and only one of those teams or 2 of those teams would have made it to the district. So it actually has improved since then, but we don't know any different. And in order to accomplish our goals this year, we have to be really good teams. I think that it is something to look into maybe, but the one thing that I would like to see is there to be more divisions in volleyball. Just like in football, there's 7 divisions, and there's about 100 to 120 teams in each division. And in volleyball, there's only 4 divisions, but there's close to 200 teams in every division. So, there's a little give and take, but like I said, we don't know any different, and we're excited to play every single night. And, in order to be the best, you have to beat the best.
All right, and I got one more question before we let you go. And Paige, we always like to ask our athletes where they plan on attending school when they graduate. And I think everyone knows that, or I'm pretty certain everyone knows that you'll be playing big-time Division I college basketball for Michigan next year.
Volleyball.
It's volleyball, excuse me. But instead, I'd like to finish with a question about New Bremen. And Paige, in this age where we see so many really talented athletes like yourself sometimes leave school, leave where they grew up at, and maybe search for exposure in another school district, or maybe searching for that state trophy or whatever. What does it mean for you to do the opposite and actually bring so much exposure to New Bremen for what you've done these last 4 years?
I mean, obviously, I grew up in New Bremen. I've always lived in New Bremen. It's in my blood. I am willing to drive the distance to just play clubs at a higher level than what we offer around here. So that doesn't really bother me. But the community, that's the big thing. The community is like my big family. They've always supported us through everything. I mean, with the community behind our backs, we are so excited with their full support. They help us bring so much energy, and that helps us on the court to also bring energy, and it's just amazing. And also bringing, I guess, the exposure here, it just brings the respect that I guess New Bremen deserves.
Paige, well, listen, you're all right there. You definitely live in a great community that New Bremen is. And to you and Coach Kramer there, best of luck the rest of the year. Congratulations on what has been an outstanding season. And you guys deserve the best. And go out there, get yourself a championship, and bring one home to New Bremen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for being on our show with us tonight.
All right, and that was the MAC Player of the Year, Paige Jones, and her coach, Diana Kramer, and they play volleyball, Ken, not basketball.
They play volleyball, and they're very good. They're very good on what they do. Paige Jones, like you said, she's I think in one of her JO tournaments last year, I think she was like the national Player of the Year in JO. I mean, just a phenomenal honor, outstanding talent, and we wish them the best of luck.
All right, Ken, let's go back to the sound room and check in with the guys back there. I know they're celebrating episode number 2,000 with us. I see the cake back there. Or 200, let's say 200. 2,000, that'll come next year maybe. But I'm glad they don't have their fingers in that cake yet.
I know.
I'm amazed that they could let that sit back there for the last 30 minutes and not get any fingers in it. But guys, I guess one thing we probably ought to get to is our poll question. Let's do that first. Let's get the poll question. Ken, why don't you read that for our viewers real quick, and then we'll get back to the guys.
Which of these MAC volleyball teams you feel will make it out of the Van Wert district? TK, what's our telemetrics and our viewers say back here tonight?
Our viewers overwhelmingly pick New Bremen to make it out of the district. Only one vote for another team, that being St. Henry. So a lot of fans from New Bremen.
Not any big surprise there.
A lot of them dialed in, and they've also picked the best team of those four, so we'll see what happens.
Absolutely right. And, guys, as we close things out, I wanted to ask you, episode number 200, how has your life changed? I know you've been doing this for 7 years now with us, and your life's had to change a little bit with 200 episodes. I've heard some stories from you over the years. What's the biggest change with sitting with us on Fish Report Live every Wednesday night?
I'd have to say the wardrobe. All that nice clothing we get.
That is a perk, yeah.
It is a very nice perk. Can't complain about anything.
You always tell me you work for peanuts, but you work for the swag too, I guess.
Gotta get a little swag.
And Heavy D, I know, and there's the peanuts right there. And Heavy D, I know you've been recognized on occasion out there by a few people in the area.
Yeah, I'm on the higher end back here. I work for Ullman's, and just having a lot of fun back here.
Well, you guys do a great job, I can say that.
All good stuff. And, 200 episodes in the books. Next year we're working on 2,000. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I heard that, so that'll be great. We're here. You got us 3.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for taking the ride with us along the way. We also want to thank Covey and Kearns. They've joined the crew this year. Awful happy to have them as well. So also want to thank our special guests tonight, Coach Kramer and Paige Jones from New Bremen. Ken and I, TK, Heavy D, Covey, and Kearns will all be back again next week. Same time, same place. Until then, have a great rest of the week, and good night, everyone.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pole. When you tune in to the fish report, hanging at the fish report, hanging